Oh my gosh, here we go. Again. I don't feel alive, but we're going live. Let's kick this off on IG. It can never keep up, I swears. Technology. Well, there we go. Welcome to a muzzled chat. Now, I sat here and left this volume on a little higher than usual and for longer than usual because it actually was beating into me, my stubborn self, a little more positivity, maybe a little more optimism. And that's important. We must balance things out in our lives to where we're not completely disheartened and demoralized. We're no good in that state. But I mean it. Do we really want peace? Do we value peace? Do we value our freedoms? Do we want to achieve that? Do we want to see that for ourselves, for our loved ones? Because I firmly do believe that we will never achieve that unless we actually face our oppressors. And each and every day, our tyrannical oppressors are getting more and more bold. There's more evidence they're giving us in one hand, which is great, because the more evidence we have, the more likely folks are going to say enough is enough and become more so the solutions themselves to these issues, to their oppressors, than blindly lie to themselves and cowardice turn from their responsibilities on facing, because they value peace and their freedom that much. So, stating that, let's do the screen share, because shout out to John, the Forgotten Soldiers. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your phone call. He even brought up this old adage that if in fact people want peace, you ought to prepare for war. People aren't thinking maybe on a gratitude level of peace when they have it. But the only time this gets brought to attention is when obviously our peace is being abrupted and we're not so much in a peaceful time. And if in fact it has led to, which we are dealing with, all sorts of war tactics, you can't wrap them up as coincidence. You can't wrap it up as just some organization or whatnot. It's legitimate 5th generation warfare. But before we dive too deep into that, let's acknowledge something on a psychological level. This doctor here does an amazing job speaking on how I've even tried to bring to the table the defective wiring we acquire throughout our lives time and time again from so many different angles, and how we become convicted in our beliefs, and even in bringing receipts, bringing in evidence that totally blows up our beliefs, we more than often excuse ourselves or dismiss the information being brought to us, even if it is to our own detriment. That is a great human character flaw that I believe evil has preyed upon and magnified through pride and ego and things to that nature, that we, to our own detriment, won't accept the whole truth of, in this instance, the whole truth of full-fledged warfare being waged against all of us. And I'll state it right here in the beginning, and then we'll touch on it in the end. And it is what is entirely trying my patience and my resilience as a man right here, right now, knowing what I know, seeing what I see, trying to sound the alarm to people's own benefits, spiritually, emotionally, physically, also as a society, as a country, because everything is under threat. Everything you love. So how is it How is it if I were to come into someone's life, hypothetically, poison one of your loved ones, one of your children, attack them, I don't know, separate you from them like the hospitals did, torture them like the hospitals did, murder them through, oh, I was just following my orders, my protocols. I could go off on so many levels. But let's just say poison them. Poison their food. Poison some of the air they breathe or their water. Would you not take action against me? Let's just say you got the evidence, like we're going to provide here today. A lot of the evidence that someone is in fact poisoning your children. Are you going to stick around to even listen to it? Evil has so effectively created weaponized words for us to even do our due diligence and research and properly acknowledge the threats to ignite within ourselves the actual solutions. But look at that disconnect. If I came into your life and I myself threatened one of your loved ones, would you not take action? You'd either want to kick the living crap out of me and also seek legal action, and you wouldn't stop more than likely pursue until I myself was behind bars. So if I can connect the dots on other individuals committing those same atrocities to your loved ones, why are you not engaging in that or willing to actually hear? So someone else presents to you evidence of video footage or me verbalizing the threat to your loved ones. You're not going to listen to that? You're not going to do your research on that? You're just going to allow me to perpetually, in this hypothetical situation, poison your loved ones? Ignorance is not bliss. Our current skewed perspectives are not leading us anywhere good. We're to achieve the whole truth. Now, I get it's challenging to rewire our brains and face oneself, but it's to our benefit that we do so. Frick pride, frick ego. We could show up and save countless lives. What are we here? What are we here for? What are we doing in this life? Just to achieve things and go experience just these fleeting moments? No, there's something graver. So much greater. And when we tap in on the spiritual side, golly, when you do something good, selfless, that feeling you get versus the feeling you get unless you've completely walked in sin to the point you're just numb to it, there's a great difference. And we're to be drawn towards the light. We're to be drawn out of love for one another. But let's go ahead and play this clip and hear what this doctor's got to say. It's very powerful. Try your best to just absorb this in its fullest.
Why is it so hard to change someone's mind? Let's talk about it. If you're new to my channel, I'm of course Rachel, the neuroscientist. The brain really doesn't like changing its mind, and that gives rise to things like the confirmation bias.
Let's just point out that our natural state, which isn't so much our natural state. Think about in a tribal atmosphere, minus the city influence in schools and teachers, things of that nature, you'd actually learn really quickly. Oh, you encounter, you let's say you venture out to the next tribe over and they're explaining something you're unfamiliar with, but how it's threatening, whether it's a poisonous plant or an animal that you haven't experienced, you're quickly gonna, okay, listen and learn and observe and absorb it. So it's more so the false sense of security we've acquired in this existence, and coupled with pride and ego in the institutions and the education systems and the fake news talking heads in Hollywood, that is, it's fed us in a way now to not even listen to our gut instincts, our animal instincts, even, if you will. So even as she's unpacking this, it's kind of crucial to acknowledge how much our current day and age is attributing to these type of behavior traits to our own demise.
And that gives rise to things like the confirmation bias, anchoring bias. Confirmation bias means that we'll actually selectively filter out information that is incongruent with our existing beliefs. Even if we do process that information, we'll give it a lot less weight than we would with something that actually aligns with our existing ideas. Anchoring bias is where we hold on to the very first thing that we learn about something, and it's hard for us to let go of that, even when we're presented with evidence that suggests that it's not accurate. What a terrible design. Why are we like this? Well, neuroscientifically speaking, once you learn something, your brain has to restructure and rewire itself. We also instinctively perceive change, uncertainty, unpredictability as inherently dangerous. Sticking to what's familiar can obviously...
But that's been used against us. It is clearly safer to acknowledge the real threats threatening us, like that villager going over there. Oh, phooey, we don't have that in our village. I'm not worried about it. I don't want to live in fear, yada, yada, yada. No, you're educating yourself so you're not going to step on something you shouldn't, or you know how to react and absorb. That is insanity. We've literally been living in our own insanity. We must... We must all wow, I can't even spell, so I can't even read my own notes. We all must destroy. Oh, the R wasn't there. Sorry. We must all destroy all of the destructive wiring in our brains. There is a lot. Oh, there's a lot of destructive connections up there for sure that have been ingrained and indoctrinated us from even family bloodline generationally. Like, think about this, for example. There's destructive connections we can make even about money. Generational curses, if you will. The law, it goes beyond the law of attraction. Like, you will end up a limited being on those false, they're very real, but they're false beliefs. Look around us. We live in a land of abundance. There's a lot of decisions, a lot of paths we could go down that would more so lead to more financial blessing than even our forefathers. But just think about it psychologically, generationally. Money doesn't go on trees. These subtle little phrases, and you absorb it and you absorb it, and you've actually experienced hunger and things of that nature. It's just going to be ingrained a defective wiring of less. And it's so amazing to see people, individuals actually recognize that within themselves, maybe through words of affirmation, coupled with some action, coupled with some just rewiring of their brain. Lo and behold, they become not only breaking the family cycle, financially speaking, but they become incredibly wealthy. And they become more so the good doers among us that end up in those positions. Because there was a humbling along that process for some of them that just minimized the corruptibility in the world around us. So anyway, we're to challenge our upbringings substantially or currently the status of the wiring, how we perceive things and view things and project things. The worst thing we could do in regard to our psyche and psychological wiring. See, I'm no psychological expert. However, in diving in, these type of things have been some of my greatest breakthroughs. It's a humbling. It's a meekness. And that's where we could sit here in the world as much as we want, trying to acquire full truth But the majority the world has to offer is just slivers of truth. The only whole truth is really that we could obtain is right here in the roadmap that our loving Creator has given us. Solid truths, and we can apply that to this generation. The evidence, the prophecy, time and time and time again, that has come true. We can see all the life cycles in all our complex beings play through all the generations, just cycling. We can learn, we can gain wisdom in all of that. But if we can't, above all, be truthful with ourselves and do proper assessments and proper acknowledging of, wow, that's a defective connection that is, and I got a lot of them and I'm still working them out to this day, believe it or not. I mean, you've witnessed them, to where I'm more emotionally reactive. I'm more or too logical in certain aspects and not as empathetic. There's always going to be better connections to be made. And it might even be situational, that certain connections may in fact lead to more solutions showing up more effectively than another situation. And we can gain that resilience. Let's try to obtain that resilience. Now, kind of a side note, the actual war being waged upon us, so many of the tactics have in fact been diminishing our neurological connections and abilities to even do so much of what we're talking about right here. If you tried having this discussion with me some years back when I was bedridden with Lyme disease, another bioweapon, another tactic being used to dumb us down, I was too far gone to really have this. So now it becomes kind of a list of priorities. If you happen to find yourself in that state and you're not super excited to dive into the psychological and rewiring of your brain to gain stronger connections that will just make you that much more resilient and positive being and influential in all the right ways and conquering evil in this existence and fulfilling God's will for you in this purpose, well, then there's detoxification from your body that needs to be had, a balancing of your nutrition and hormones. And we got great affiliations for that. We'll do a plug for Bond Charge, 15% off their infrared sauna blanket. They got Blue Box glasses that will help you sleep better at night. They have red light therapies that will rejuvenate not just your skin, but also even neurological and cellular growth, all sorts of things. The Masterpiece Tincture will help eradicate metals that are now proven to be even more hyper-reactive to these frequencies. So if you want less symptoms because you live in a high-frequency area, you just do a quick antenna search. See how many are around you. Get rid of those heavy metals, poisonous metals that lead to Alzheimer's and all sorts of things, and also forever chemicals by simply droplets, a little tincture. Get that tincture. It is a lifesaver. It's a miracle tincture. Check out clinics like Unchained Wellness Clinic, Gilbert, Arizona, or Pure Benefits Aesthetics and Wellness in Scottsdale, Arizona. There's so many things, so many doctors on the cutting edge to help us actually achieve the best version of ourselves. And this part of self-mastery it's not excusably, it's 100% a part of it. And we must be able to be willing to even acknowledge that in and of itself. I'm sorry for interrupting it so much. You could play this uninterrupted yourself. It's one of the first links right there in the description below.
Serve as an evolutionary advantage. The last and perhaps more psychological component of that is that our ideas tend to be tethered to our identity.
Ooh.
And the brain really doesn't like threats to identity.
What a mess.
Your sense of self involves so many different structures, memories, processes in the brain. To rewrite that would be very complicated and, in the daily struggle for survival, potentially fatal. Why is it?
And it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. As depicted in the Bible itself, that meekness, that humbling leads us. The greatest character defect I often speak out of in man is the know-it-all syndrome. That is terrible. There's always more to learn. There's always more efficient roads and things of that nature. And even if you feel like you've mastered a singular thing, it's like, with that self-mastery, it's like there's other things to learn. Like how do you now share that with the next gen? They may not even be able to learn it the way you learned it to master it themselves. So there's always more connections to be had. We never fully arrive in this existence. We are perfectly imperfect. And what a joy that is, because our work is never going to be complete. And when we walk in the proper fruits, in the proper humbling, there is an excitement to this. So to the day we die, how exciting. It's like we're always going to school, but in the more positive, exciting sense. All right, this was crazy. Well, of course. So yes, there's something alarming with all the ties and the blind allegiance to Israel. Yes, even with former President Trump. But if we can effectively unite and ensure our grievances are addressed, then this becomes less concerning, okay? But America first. How is this America first? So this actually brought up, and I do have it pulled up, but I'll go ahead and close it because I'll show you for yourself that you could just click on this. So something a friend of mine just found, maybe we have seen this, more than likely the majority of us haven't, but the amount of money / support that the states have given Israel is absolutely insane. We look at the federal government. We look at all the money funneled through AIPAC, even back to the individuals infiltrating our own systems, leading to standing ovations, 58 of them, last Netanyahu was here, as he lied to everyone. We've proven that. So let's just get something straight right out the bat regarding this information. It is absolutely insanity that we are even feeding into a foreign aid at all when there's all these issues at home. Loss of life at home, when then there's an invasion of our country. I mean, we could go down that whole list. It's utterly insane. We cannot effectively show up anywhere else till we rule out the corruption and issues right here at home. So the billions of dollars, billions that just went out, this is something I didn't even know. And this goes over the actual data. And you can click into any of the specific states. Boom, California. So exports to Israel in 2023 equates to, oh my gosh. So that's 100. That's hundreds of thousands. So over $1 million total exports from 1996 to present. Holy smokes. Am I reading that wrong? Was this hundreds? Hundreds of thousands? Million? billion? Oh my gosh, am I reading that wrong? Holy smoke. This is kind of a big deal. Hundreds of 79 million? Is that what it is? Big numbers that are blowing my mind regardless. This is on a state level. Very alarming. What's my state, Arizona, doing to a whole other country's foreign aid? Wow. 5 million? Let's check out Texas. 15? Over 15 million from Texas? Come on. What is going on? Let's look at New York City. 41 million. So clearly there's hundreds of millions of dollars being pumped out. And you look at the senators of these states, they receive hundreds of thousands, if not millions, from AIPAC each and every year. They're now even gaining dual citizenship, which I find, let's really hone in on that. Let's not just skim over it. Let's hone in on that. Isn't that treasonous? Could it be that these individuals are now seeking out what other foreign entities want more so than what our country here needs? It becomes very clear. We are a completely conquered, occupied country. This right here is no longer the United States of America. And come prove me wrong. Let's have that discussion. We shouldn't be afraid to do it. To me, what I see happening, we are more so the divided, conquered communist states of Israel. Prove me wrong, please. Let's not let defective wiring hinder us from connecting what's actually taking place here. So we'll go through more of the news of what's happening, the atrocities in North Carolina, but then we're going to hone back in on the smoking gun, the pandemic, the outcomes. Once again, what RFK touched on and we played just the other day is so profound. We even skimmed over it. We didn't really absorb that it was a planned demic, scamdemic. It was planned, folks. The outcomes, the withholding of information, the false labeling of safe and effective, and we cannot allow our defective wiring from seeing the whole truth. Now, I get it. It's very difficult for someone that got it, rolled up their sleeve, is safe and effective. Oh, their job was threatening them, to come to terms that decision was a wrong one. Even harder for that individual if they felt it in that moment, because the fear porn and the egregious overreach and infringement on our First Amendment rights, because the information was out, but it was heavily suppressed. And there was enough information even before the rollout of that shot that no one in their right mind would have actually caved. Their jobs wouldn't even have been worth it. Their positions in the military wouldn't even been worth it had they actually had enough of the information quick enough. But they didn't. So we're not here to cast stone on those individuals. What I'm trying to hone in on is the disconnect within our own psyche, our own brains, that is keeping us. Because let's just keep it to that one individual that got it, and they're having a hard time. You know what? I'd rather walk, let's just say they admit it, I'd rather walk in ignorance than come to terms that I actually did something that could lead to such atrocities in my body. Well, let's just play crystal ball, wizard, genie in the lamp for just a second that, hey, we could see your future, sir. We could see your future. There's two paths from here. But there's a decision in this moment that could lead you down those two paths. One path leads to certain utter death. One path leads to potential health and wellness again. Let's just make one thing clear in this moment. If your decision is to walk in ignorance, it's guaranteeing one path. Do we even need to have the ability to see that path, to tell those individuals? Like, it's irrelevant. We don't have to have a crystal ball. Ignorance doesn't lead anywhere good. You have a chance. There's doctors with breakthroughs on individuals. So whether this individual we're speaking of has any symptoms in this moment or not, it's irrelevant, because there's doctors moving the needle in the right direction, giving health back, minimizing the spike proteins, or completely eradicating for individuals, bringing health back into their lives. Okay? There's turbo cancers, all sorts of things, and infertility that are just skyrocketing. And yes, they are. As much as the fact checks want to tell you, oh, you can't attribute these to the vaccinations, unfreaking believable. Oh, yes, we can. And luckily, a lot of individuals are. So we gotta, okay, it's scary, just like that neurologist, psychologist, like doctor just so eloquently, explained to us all that there's fear there. There's, profound challenge when we were so convinced that this was the right decision, that this information is going against it. Well, dang it. If I knew this particular individual, if I knew he got the saline solution, I mean, the reality of it is we even need them to get on board with a full truth so they never fall duped again, because ultimately, where's that going to lead? As they futuristically continually get these shots, it will lead to the ones that actually have the bioweapon in it. So even those, like, no one's immune. Everyone must absorb the full truth. Now, it's your choice. I'm not here to force you, right? That is what the evil is here to do. And like they did with this shot, that's what we're to acknowledge. The very acts, the very things that took place were from the devil himself, and using a lot of useful idiots and evil doers, ones that worship him, to fulfill his bloodlust and literally the genocide of us all. Okay, and when we can properly acknowledge these war tactics, the real war being waged on us, then, dang it, we have a glimmer of hope. There is a chance that we might seize this opportunity in time to the betterment of ourselves and our children. But that choice is yours. So anyway, let's connect some of the other style of warfare. Now, this lady really does a good job blowing through all the news media propaganda and exposes the actual level of carnage that has taken place. And it is unbelievable. It's so disheartening. I mean, it's just sad. What are we going to do about it?
Okay, please give me 5 minutes to talk to you about geography, because we need to understand the scale of what's going on. This is the state of North Carolina. This is the area that's without power still. This is also the state of North Carolina. This yellow outline is the country of Belgium that I've overlaid for scale. Okay? This is the scale. 230,000 customers without power means households. Based on US Census data, the average household size here is about 3, which means we're talking about 600,000 to 700,000 people who have not had power for
600,000 to 700,000 people. Oh yeah, those talking heads. Surprise, surprise. They're trying to downplay the whole thing. It's not even a big deal. So when we bring in the bulldozers and bury the bodies and never get a proper account or whatnot, like, you'll never even acknowledge truly our intentions with all of this, that we actually created the whole storm and everything. What? That's conspiratorial. Just you wait. We actually have evidence. Once again, are you going to allow that kind of disconnect? The CIA weaponization of word of freaking conspiracy? Like, I don't know if I want to demonize that word yet or continue to wear it as a badge of honor, because it just goes to show like, oh, you still have a rational brain. You'll still actually, you're not lazy. You'll do research on things and the evidence and what's been stated. Like, it's legitimately out there. It's no secret that they can, in fact, do these type of things.
A week. That is an emergency by itself. If you don't have power for a week, then if you had food stored in the freezer, no, you don't. If you had breast milk, insulin stored in the fridge, no, you don't. You don't get to run your CPAP machine. 750,000 people without power for a week should make headline news by itself. But power outages are unfortunately one of the mildest of problems. Water is also out. Cell coverage is out.
Right.
If you're seeing people posting from this area, there's a good likelihood they're having to drive miles to do that. And that is if they have a car that wasn't destroyed, if they can get gas somehow, and if they have roads they can drive miles on. These are the road closures. Okay? And these roads are not closed because there's some water on them. They're closed because they look like this now.
Wow.
Right? This times this. That's the scale. The reason the roads look like that is because this is the topography. This is not like a lot of cities where you drive for a half an hour to go get to this. This is the region. This is where people live. When you live in the mountains, you get one road. And they're going to put it wherever they can put it. That's why it's shaped like this. Very often, that's going to be along a river or next to it. When a road looks like this, right, that means the land looks like this. So when a hurricane decides to go hiking in the mountains, which has never happened in this area before.
Which has never happened. A hurricane doesn't go for a hike in the mountains, folks. It just doesn't. So we'll dive into HAARP a bit. We'll dive into what they've even said for themselves. So let's not have that cognitive dissonance. Let's not allow the blind trust we've established within these institutions to lie to what our eyes are seeing, what our ears are hearing, what our gut is telling us, and wrap all this talk up as a conspiracy theory to our own detriment, completely negating the actual war tactics and the threats that it's leading to the loss of life and suffering, and yes, infringing on our speech, infringing on our freedoms on even providing aid to these individuals, which we've proven with boots on the ground, okay? And we can't negate the powers that be and FEMA and things of that nature that are horrifically weaponized against we the people. Like, it becomes easier now to connect all the dots of bigger pictures. Oh, you connect the dots to the invasion happening in our country and the reckless spending and attributing to actual kinetic warfare and the money laundering and the pandemic. It takes no rocket scientist when you do enough of your due diligence and, frankly, your responsibility as a citizen to this country and a member of your family. If you have love for them, you would go against the fringe, even if they felt one way or the other. You would do your research, because after all, at the end of the day, wouldn't you want to gather the information that would actually lead to providing the results and protections you're seeking for them? There needs to be a unification that we're just not seeing on this podcast, and that's frankly the most frustrating thing about this all. Like, what am I doing? Showing up day after day on behalf of others. Yes, the Unmuzzled Chat family, there has been a level of loyalty, and I'm so grateful for that. I truly am. But have we seen the proper growth to pose better solutions? Pose a legitimate enough threat to the actual enemy that is murdering us, poisoning us, taking our lives. It's happening each and every day. And these type of things are already getting projected. We're going to be seeing more of this. If we don't properly expose this as the threat it is and pull that card from their hand from playing it, shutting down these HAARP and DARPA and all this military and even private group weaponry, then it's going to continue. It's going to lead to more suffering. So anyway, let's continue, because we need to effectively be able to acknowledge these things for what they are, right, to combat it.
Ever. You're going to get a torrential amount of water, and it's going to be moving very fast because it's moving down a mountain.
Right.
And this river is going to explode. It's going to take out this road right here, and it's going to take out this road right here. And then everybody that lives in here is trapped because you're not walking out. Some people are. Some people are
common sense.
What they can and their children on their back and hiking out, which is, to be honest, pretty representative of typical Appalachian scrappiness. Anyway, the other thing that's going to happen is mud, because the water is not going to just gently fall down the mountain and go in the river. It is going to get into the earth, and the earth is going to become mud, and that is incredibly heavy. And the whole mountainside is going to shear off like a windshield wiper and carry everything with it and put it in. And that's why we're seeing the level of destruction we're seeing, because roads are not the only thing that is gone. This is not a river. This is a town.
That is a town. I like what she stated just a second ago about these people and the level of their scrappiness. They have shown a lot of that, and I love that. Now, it does take some horrific events for certain individuals to obtain that. We could also wrap that scrappiness up in other words, such as a level of proper urgency to the very threats we're all faced with. Now, this is horrific. We're to acknowledge what is going on to achieve proper aid for them. Or is this going to end up another Maui? Will this end up another effective land grab for BlackRock and the elites? Now, it seems like the intention behind this and what is playing out is entirely different than Maui in and of itself. That seemed just to be more so land they wanted for personal reasons. This is more so a financial, very lucrative financial, with the lithium and the gold and things that have been found there that they've been fighting. And that's where you can't just chalk it up as coincidence, and not when there's all this other evidence. We cannot do that. And FEMA's actions are proving precisely the intent. The fact foreign or aid that's being provided for these individuals suffering is going to the criminal invaders. Unbelievable, unacceptable. And the current puppet Biden, where is that rotting bag of oatmeal, administration has admitted just that, even though they're trying to debunk just that. They've admitted FEMA in the years past and currently have 100% indisputably provided aid to criminals that are invading our country in the tune of like $1.4 billion. And now we don't have the money to, nor do they want to. Now, they are kind of spitting in our face about it here, but can we acknowledge this is warfare against we the people? They no longer represent us. They no longer care about us. They're actually fulfilling Israel or the globalists and this new world order, which is to crush America, break America's backbone, enslave America. There's all the quotes. It's so clear, folks. The World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab has praised what China has achieved. And what have they achieved? A full tyrannical control in such a way on such a high population that it doesn't pose a threat to their actual dictatorship, their regime. They want that here in America. That is so clear. And we're not grasping that deep enough. We're getting too caught up in the blue and the red, and the delusion as though we have a side. We're against world powers. And more eloquently put, if you really wanted to hone in on it, it's the synagogue of Satan. It's the throne the devil himself is sitting on in this world. And there's no lengths these worshipers would not be willing to go to obtain full tyrannical control. And if that means fulfilling the Georgia Guidestone, if that means fulfilling what Bill Gates, we'll play that clip in this very episode because we can't play it enough because people aren't grasping the actual threats that we are faced with right now. It's literally just the cognitive dissonance, the disconnect, the sheer disconnect from the actual threat. And that's where one of the biggest threats is just the bread and circus. Living under the illusion they're doing it in such a way as though it isn't World War III. But it's nothing shy of that. They'll go to no lengths. Even if they have to genocide 7.5 billion people off this world, they will do it. And unfortunately, they're achieving that. They're on track. Now, if we actually did a proper assessment, I don't know how fast they're achieving that, but they are. And it's clear. And they're going to ramp things up like this to continue their land grabs, their centralization of full control to the point it just doesn't matter. Your money, we can't effectively even organize. So we have an opportunity, but it's fleeting. This window of opportunity I genuinely see diminishes each and every day. Not enough of us are showing up, and the lack of action, the irresponsibilities, like we're not accepting the responsibilities we all have and showing up effectively enough. For frick's sakes, I'm not even effectively getting put in and my voice being magnified on behalf of hopefully having that outcome. And where I was more optimistic before, potentially gaining that momentum on this platform, I felt could lead to becoming enough. Now, not even just selfishly, through all the patriots, because we plug them all. You know, whether it's Dan Bongino, Charlie Kirk, Stu Peters, Russell Brand even, Tucker Carlson. And there's a lot of independent individuals such as Mark from The Chosen and John and Scott from The Forgotten Soldiers. I mean, we're affiliating and co-promoting and but the people aren't grasping it enough. So I don't know. Part of me wants to continue to yell. Luckily, for whatever reason, a little bit of prayer, diving into more scripture is bringing a little more calm approach here today. I really hope that this touches your heart in such a way that ignites that within you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's choice. But choices have consequences. And if we continue to walk in ignorance and we continue to focus on the selfish things of this life, and yes, even our personal jobs, when we are at war, when war is legitimately being waged upon us, then we need to go back to that analogy. And it's not just analogy, because the reality of it is, the analogy portion of it is that I'm not in fact showing up poisoning your loved ones. That part of the analogy is not true. That's hypothetical. But trying to personalize it on a level to absorb that, in fact, others are poisoning your loved ones as we speak right here, right now, through actual poisons in their sprays under the guise of fighting climate change. That's true. The fact they're centralizing the control of food and manipulating food intentionally. Yes, even with mRNA vaccines and scientific research for addiction and cause and effect to create illness, to provide the pharmaceuticals. It is entirely, it's a conflict of interest. Everything they're acquiring, they're literally creating the problems, the supposed solutions It's all to our detriment. It's been weaponized against us. We're not to blindly entrust in any of these institutions. We're to get to know our neighbors. We're to get fired up ourselves and create the solutions together. That is the only opportunity we have right now. No one political individual is riding in on a white horse. Now, they may cut us some slack. They may give us some reprieve to an extent. But if we don't fully accept the responsibilities we have on an individual level, which is very obtainable, and get radically involved, I even believe, I don't feel militia at this point is a, yes, they will try to demonize that. Yes, they will try to snuff that out. But we have rights, duties, and obligations to face these tyrannical threats. And if it's through militias, effectively getting proper people in positions to the betterment, supporting our freedoms, our country, our borders, healthy food, better financial responsibility, then gosh dang it, that is precisely what we need to do. We must go to any lengths to maintain our freedom to practice religion, to speak out truth, be able to acknowledge the very threats. Anyways, I'm going off a rant. Let's go ahead and continue. Yeah, she's right. This is a freaking village right here. That's not just mud and rock. That's debris. That's homes. That's people's lives buried.
This is Chimney Rock. This is a screenshot from this user. This is what it looked like before. And this is the scale that we're talking about. There are hundreds of small towns in this picture. This is Asheville. This right here. You've heard a lot about Asheville, probably, hopefully. Asheville is not a small remote mountain town. It is a city of 100,000 people. It is the city that you would drive to go to the doctor if you live in an actual small remote mountain town. And it did get devastated. It did get hit very hard. But part of the reason why you are seeing so much coverage out of Asheville is that you can get there right now. If you're going to send a news crew to North Carolina, they can just drive into Asheville. And you do not want to be taking up a helicopter right now just to take pictures because people are still trapped. I do think some news organizations went here for a working lunch and didn't ask anybody if anyone lives up here. So I'm a little frustrated by that. But gradually, I think the coverage is developing. The rest of this is going to be very bleak. So don't watch it if you're already not okay, please. The mortality counts that you've seen in the tens are irresponsibly optimistic. Those are the people who've been identified. When you find someone's remains washed down a river, how do you know where they came from? How do you contact their loved ones to get an identification? When the cell towers are down, when the roads are down, when all of those people are still concentrating on trying to get out and trying to get food and water, you're going to wait. You're going to wait until the living are taken care of. We have not begun to hear the mortality numbers from this disaster. This is a small country. And it's my mom's small country. And it's gone. Please pay attention.
Wow. How amazing would it be to get sheriffs and deputies like they unified against FEMA and the feds hindering aid, fulfilling their oath. But we do it as a civilian, with the police force, with a bunch of all the military or National Guardsmen that we can, getting generals and officers to, hey, if you won't support it, this is what we're going to do, and we're going about things as humanely, legally as possible. Just making it all clear, a proper organization that they can respect, support, by just getting out of the way. Hey, if you're not willing to fulfill your oath, we'll ensure our duty as a citizen is fulfilled. And I'd venture to say with proper momentum, even with this purge that took place during the pandemic, getting the most morally upright men booted because those were illegal criminal orders to force those men to get that shot. Not a single one of them that went in their arms was an FDA approved shot. You cannot. And somehow they pushed the envelope as far as they could, threatening martial law and whatnot. But none of them actually faced that due to it. It was a switcheroo, and that was criminal activity on their end. They couldn't, in fact, impose it. They had to get people to roll up their sleeves of their own free will. But those that wouldn't do it, they got the boot. So, yes, there's talk of being reinstated and, back pay, things to that nature, which is great, but there's no fixing the damage that was done. And we're not taking it serious enough to ensure that those same, what do you want to call it? That the military itself is no longer infiltratable to that extent through people in other positions. About what a freaking mess this is. What a mess. Uh-oh. I just canceled a window I wanted to show. Actual imagery, okay, of unnatural skies. Once again, let your eyes tell you the truth, okay? This is not natural. It's not natural or organizing. Come on, look at those clouds.
Yeah, this is great.
Never in my life. Never in my life. HAARP created Hurricane Milton Harris. This is what geoengineering looks like. No one's ever seen it. So if you haven't ever seen it and you haven't looked into HAARP, that should raise flags unless we've been entirely hacked. Like the World Economic Forum's also stated, humans are now hackable animals, that they have the technology to control the masses. So do you just want to be one of those sheeple? Do you want to be one of their robots, their zombies? Or do you want to fight back, gain your health, gain your discernment and abilities to get to the actual issue? Now, if you roots of the issue, and let's say you genuinely do the research and you're not finding it, like the reality of it is there is enough evidence to now go straight journalist and try to infiltrate these facilities and blow the whistle. But you really don't need to go that far because the evidence actually is there. I mean, it's right here in this clip. We played it yesterday, but it's right here.
A couple questions here about HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. This is located up in Alaska. It's currently funded by the Air Force Research Lab. It was formerly funded.
This is just one of many, many all across the globe.
Funded by the Office of Naval Research. One of the prime customers is DARPA, which is currently running experiments at the facilities. To start with you, Dr. Prabhakar, I understand that a lot of folks here on the committee probably don't understand what HAARP does. I think most Alaskans don't really know what HAARP does or why the agency is involved in it. So a very brief explanation.
One of our programs has been using the HAARP facility for the research that it's pursuing. And my understanding is that we did.
Look, the research it's pursuing, and they're dancing around words. They're trying to conceal just let out enough. Okay, yeah, okay, and appease. Okay, just enough as we're getting asked questions because there's legitimate concerns, but not whole truths. Frick all this I almost said transparency. We want transparency. Frick all the secrecy. What the frick? We're the people. Enough with these groups and organizations and it's being weaponized. Why are they being transparent about it? Or why aren't they? There's only one legitimate conclusion to be had. They don't want us to know. Why wouldn't they want us to know? Well, because they're using this technology against us, folks.
Did get value out of that interaction.
We did get value out of that interaction.
Walker, your agency is currently running
their
facility.
program.
The Air Force has gotten great value out of HAARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there, moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed
managing the ionosphere.
to do was to
manipulating weather.
inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it.
Control it. okay, to control the atmospheres and the weather.
With DARPA completing their project, that's our last government customer that we have in the site.
It basically makes the atmosphere a laboratory, and we can do experiments that no one else can do. It's a laboratory without walls.
They've been extremely effective with the results, folks. I mean, don't forget what happened right here in Dubai, in the flooding. Look at the plane. Oh my gosh. Weather manipulation. We could go into their facilities, their cloud seeding experiments, everything that they were doing that led to this. It's not like hushed about. The information's out that led to all that rain and flooding in Dubai. Okay, here's more where they openly talk about it on, was this on the World Economic Forum? But they still use craftily words. All right, so C-SPAN. Anyway.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change.
It's all a hoax. They're doing it under the guise of this hoax to poison us, to create actual storms. How is that not a weapon? How is that not a bomb? Look at North Carolina. We literally should be responding, and it's even that much more telling with FEMA's response. They're trying to red tape. This is now a federal thing. Civilians aren't allowed to go save their own loved ones. What? We're supposed to live in a free country. I'm going to save my loved ones or provide aid. It doesn't even matter. You can't put up, imagine it. So they're trying to cover up their crimes. But it's as though a bomb literally went off right here in America, and they're trying to chalk it up as something else.
One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies...
Unbelievable. You know what made it hard for me to continue to sit through that is the simple fact, in this life, I see people dropping out. Literally, as these individuals are speaking what they're doing for themselves. And they're not willing to, you know what, this is just too far out. It's too conspiratorial. Like, maybe there's a disheartening part of that. Well, what are we going to do? It's easily addressed together. It's more easily. You just made it harder on all of us. Whoever just can't handle the truth and is going to walk away from it. I'm not going to admit my energy, my time, my anything to actually show up and protect my loved ones. It's essentially the cowardice you just presented to us all live here today. Thank you for that. That is what tests my resilience above it all. And if this particular topic, I get it. If you haven't done your research, it can be a tough one to absorb. Maybe we can't directly correlate it as fine, like clear, black and white as we can. That's why I view the pandemic as a smoking gun, because we have all the data. It's in the patents. Speaking of biological warfare, it all started, the patenting behind all of that, prior to the actual pandemic taking off. That's the reason they wanted 70 plus years from a lot of their research to not come forth for like 70 years. Like, the writing is on the wall. Okay. it's clear. So I get, can be tough, but there's enough, once again, information when you look into it to be like, wow, yeah, we must get to the bottom of this. We must demand full transparency. We should be able to walk into, as civilians, to all of these facilities and demand what we want: full investigation. We want to go through all the documentation. There's a reason why it's all behind fences and locked doors and secrecy, folks. But if we actually gathered the data, what systems got fired up when, frick. And we're just like, you know what? Let's just put that on repeat and see if it recreates that, but we'll obviously get everyone out of there. Okay, we see what you did here. Not only like, because now we just essentially recreated that bomb. Yeah, people are going to be in big trouble. Anyway, more speaking out on it. This lady's amazing.
Air Force for 9 years.
Wow.
You know what?
And here with Kristen Megan, she's a military veteran, right?
Yes,
she's amazing.
I was in the U.S. Air Force for 9 years.
Wow. And you came out and blew the whistle on geoengineering, things that you witnessed were going on. Can you give us the real nutshell?
Absolutely. Basically, I had heard of what many people know as the term chemtrails, and I worked in a job called bioenvironmental engineering, and I thought that was insane, and why would we do something like that, modify the weather by using hazardous materials in our atmosphere? So, and actually the process of trying to debunk it or disprove it, I realized it was actually coming right out of my office, as I was one of the people that was approving the chemicals, and it really
aluminum, barium, something phosphate, like graphene and plastics. Literally things that will dumb us down, that lead to neurological dysfunction, that lead to, they're like carcinogenic materials. So cancers, they're going to suppress our immune systems. They're going to put us more on our ass in bed, sickly, than walking healthily, posing any threat, which feeds into their big pharma system. And you heard it from that other gentleman, even speaking, even in the billions, but it's relatively cheaply done. Because think of it, that level of tactic and poisoning the masses and diminishing our lights collectively, all of us. And it leads to Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is spiking on a level that we're all going to be experiencing that unless we actively seek this full stop now. That's the opportunity we have. What more information do you need on that specific threat alone, other than this whistleblower and the harmful? Well, we could connect. So I'll add Frankens, guys. Now, I think it was on a Stu Peters episode. They actually just recently plugged another very powerful documentary done on chemtrails. I'm going to have to watch that one, and if it surpasses the information on Frankenskies, then fantastic. But as far as the information's brought forth on that documentary alone, it's like, look no further. There's plenty of evidence, factual, everything they've checked, and how damning, how harmful it is to all of us. If we even just grasped this single aspect, we would stop what we're doing, as though, let's just continue on that analogy, as though I was poisoning a loved one. You drop it. All right, I'm not going into work today because there's this frick I have on video, literally, whether it was poisoning the water or poisoning the air or poisoning the food around my child. Like, you would stop what you're doing and address the threat. We're not stopping what we're doing and properly addressing these threats. It is not bigger than us together. Absolutely not. So one of the things we could do to fight back is share this to the moon and back. Start creating the discussions. Start connecting the dots. Reaching out to committees and your state officials. And if we need to legitimately start organizing militias to get this poisoning to stop, then we do what we got to do. It's not a conspiracy. They want to chalk it up because they don't want you to acknowledge how they're poisoning you, diminishing you and your children. Any one of these threats is enough, but we're not doing what we need to do. I mean, we'll freaking get into it, but for example, they're still spraying. I'm still seeing those streaks up here. That's unacceptable. I got on my own personal phone another message from CVS. Oh, flu season, blah, blah, blah. Come in and get your COVID shot and flu shot. Unbelievable that we haven't torn those off of the shelves and incinerated all that bioweapon. That it's still, in fact, being injected in arms, or even potentially to even be injected in arms, is an egregiously unacceptable outcome. You know what it tells me is the individuals behind it, they're like, great, that was a great success. We've now gotten trillions more dollars to put towards the more centralization of these individuals' food, of the censorship campaign, of, you know, putting in the puppet we want that's going to fulfill our bidding in their circus of government, you know, their leadership that basically just fulfills what we want. Are you kidding me, folks? Are you kidding me? With the lack of action, even with Trump there, are you kidding me? There's a ball and chain that's going to be put on him so fast unless we effectively assemble. Full stop, period. Like, he might breathe some life into us, for sure. He might help us get organized to a degree. There's no better thing to engage in our time, with our energy, with our finances, than protecting our loved ones right now in this war. What, you just want to accept the natural dumbing down just because it's not that noticeable in this moment? Look around you. Look at autism. Look at diabetes. Look at Lyme disease. Look at died suddenly. Look at the infertility rates. Look at the average, age span drastically tanking. You're under delusion that, you're unfazed, that we're doing enough. We're not. We need to start moving the needle in the right direction where these things are stopped, full stop. Do we need to play more?
Shook the core of my oath, and I did a lot of sampling, did a lot of investigation, and I blew the whistle and I got out, and I've now used my credentials, my oath, and my powers for good to help people understand it's very real. It's now openly admitted. There are multiple forms of weather modification. I specifically found the one of stratospheric aerosol injection, and collectively around the globe, we have to understand that it is now being admitted because they're saying it's combating climate change. While the climate change we need to be worried about is man-made climate engineering, also known as geoengineering.
And when you say you had chemicals being pumped into the air, what kind of chemicals are they putting out that rain down on humanity, basically?
Nanoparticulate metals, like we had different sulfates and barium and strontium. Wow. I know it's probably changed over time. I know they use silver iodide for certain things. But these are, the odd part of it was the quantities that I saw them coming in, the form that they were coming in. And it's the same type of materials that I was trying to engineer out of the workplace to substitute with.
See, this is why I think we genuinely need a full-blown militia. Because if we slowly start ramping up the threats to where they feel like, oh wow, these people are actually getting active enough, like before this tactic becomes shelved, let's put the trillions they made and whatnot, or they're just money laundering and everything, whatever, they're endless amounts, like unfathomable amounts of power and money into potentially even more harmful things. We start moving the needle. Like, we got to understand, like, that's kind of a shot back in warfare, right? So they're gonna double up, and they're now gonna try to put something up there the last days they can that are going to be even more impactful. But do you just want to do you just want to accept entire enslavement in this war? Or do you want to fight back? Freedom is worth dying for and fighting for. And the fact of the matter is, with the technological advances, we won't even continue to be free in our own minds on the current trajectory we're on, full stop. Think about it. I mean, genuinely, at the end of the day, choice is yours, but I'm sick and tired of seeing such a level of cowardice and such a level of selfishness and self-serving to where people won't even acknowledge what is going on in the spiritual warfare playing out before us. They are attacking your loved ones, everyone, you yourself included, and your children.
Safer materials. And when you notice that what's called the safety data sheet, the information about a chemical of what personal protective equipment to wear, how do you dispose of it, how do you pack it to ship it, when key information is missing, I ask questions. And my questions led to demonization, and I knew I found something I shouldn't have.
That's insane. So these metals are basically toxic for the humans, I would presume, or?
Yes, because it also has aluminum. And a lot of people will tell you, well, these things aren't horrible in small quantities. It's not small quantities, because when you are putting things above us, the dissipation rates are dependent on weather and climate, but it's getting into the food, it's getting into the soil. And around the world, wastewater treatment plants, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, or these toxicants is what they're called, they are not able to filter them out. So if you're growing organic food, we're going to go back to the plexiglass barriers on our plants. I mean, it's horrible. That's why you can ban it anywhere. We've had states in the United States ban it, and that is great to get the ball rolling. But people really need to wake up to it, irrespective of any political party. It's not okay. And you're seeing a huge increase in neurodegenerative issues like Alzheimer's. It's really difficult for people with respiratory issues and asthma. And people are wondering why they have allergies 24/7, 365.
Right.
And I like what you said about that climate change or the.
All right, you can watch that in its entirety, and she's done multiple whistleblowing on that. But how are we taking this lightly? How is this in one ear and out the other? It's like this in and of itself, nothing else matters till it's addressed. The COVID shot, same thing. But we could collectively move the needle on all these things together. Are we going to seize that opportunity? Come on, we're a year in. Like, what are we doing every day that continues from here without moving the needle in the right direction? They're gaining more and more ground. They're adding more things into it. It's leading to more poisoning. Unbelievable. I love this image. And I'm like, yes, 100% captures my frustration this day. Why? Stop asking why they are doing this. Start asking, why the F are we allowing it? Why are we allowing that? Why are we allowing no accountability on the COVID supposed safe and effective? Why? It is egregiously unacceptable. We are to change the trajectory of history as to where we've just continually not sought accountability. That is exactly what has allowed the synagogue of Satan and these demonic individuals. If you actually even looked into these individuals and what they do behind closed doors, you would not accept these tactics. But they're allowing just enough luxury, just enough bread and circus, like NFL, the new Colosseum. People became unrestless in Rome. Oh, well, let's entertain them. Let's fill their dissatisfaction with everything going on with blood and murder and entertainment. That'll do it. And it did it. It's the bread and circus. That's why I'm like, damn the NFL. I will not engage in that. Even though, yeah, friends came over and I watched it last year, just the Super Bowl specifically, to see the demonic symbolism through these celebrities. But there was so much demonic symbolism, so there was like educational purposes. I have no interest in even sitting through that. Like, there's more important things to do with my time. Period. Full stop. And frankly, there's more important things you all could be engaged in. And until these threats are addressed, like there's no point of that. That's just wasting life. 100%. Why put money towards something? Tell me. Like the NFL, the NBA, what genuinely has it done on behalf of we the people and on our freedoms over the last decade? It's actually taken money and used it against we the people and our freedoms and gone towards anti-American narratives and like DEI hiring and LGB and all this toxic, poisonous stuff. Okay, once again, it's like, why can't we take it for what they state themselves?
The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Well, common sense would tell you if you have a man standing in front of you saying he's going to reduce the world's population by 10 or 15% using vaccines, what does that mean to you? It means somebody's going to die because you put a vaccine in them.
It's not.
It doesn't mean you're going to save people.
Where the frick is the common sense? Are people seriously that wired, that freaking disconnected, dumbed down, don't care? Do you not have love for yourself? Do you not have love for your loved ones? It isn't love. You don't. If you're not going to face the threat that's going to kill them, where's your common sense? There's no pride. There's no ego. There's no blind trust in institutions of our government, our health services. All these labels of these individuals, they're doing the most evil things. The fact we haven't assembled up to this point and demanded this to be, it's still on the shelf. We could lower the world population by 10 or 15% through these weapons. So that's what he stated. Because through those weapons that got false labels and other means have contributed to the very outcome Bill Gates, these puppets have spoken out on time and time again. I am frustrated. We are years after this pandemic, and it's still, this bioweapon, this weapon is still available. It's still being administered. We are entirely so self-absorbed and selfish and delusionally walking in our lives. Not like, we got to stop. We got to sit down. Look, there's more and more things. Here we are again, sounding the alarms. Like, what else needs to happen? Well, more things are about to happen, and it's going to be that much harder to face them then. It's going to be that much harder. Mind you, as we continue with the chemtrails, with the poisoning of the food, the centralization of food and water, it's going to become harder and harder to even come to these conclusions and these distinctions. They're putting billions of dollars into biological warfare. From the insect side of things, from the poisoning of food, the air, all of it, to have that effect. We've been target number one. What are we doing? Do we not have the ability to properly acknowledge this threat? You're damn right. Common sense would tell you that then vaccines wouldn't be saving people. People are going to die. That's exactly what's happened.
That's pretty much common sense in my brain. But yet I saw him say it. He said it. And
we've all heard it.
Here we are. I don't know. Here we are. I'm now an anti-vaxxer. I wasn't before.
The world.
I'm 100% an anti-vaxxer. There's no trust in all of that. Well, let's hear from Peter.
Just
Kohler.
testified in the U.S. Senate December 7th, 2022. The vaccine is killing people and is killing large numbers of people. It fulfills all the criteria for the Bradford Hill tenets of causality for a medicinal product causing death. Our CDC, as of December 23rd, 2022, has over 16,000 Americans that have died within a few days of taking the vaccine. And that's probably a gross underreport.
Gross underreport. Well, we got more data than that. So let's fully absorb this. We skimmed over it. But let's fully absorb what RFK is saying here.
Event 201, a pandemic
Event 201, a pandemic simulation that took place prior to what happened, and they literally, by the book, did everything they planned in the simulation. The PCR test was defective with negative efficacy. Based on that alone, define COVID other than a scamdemic. Okay? The cold, the flu didn't disappear. Influenza didn't disappear. There was something obviously else that attributed to other symptoms and illness, undoubtedly. But it wasn't COVID. It was either the 5G frequency warfare that we're still dealing with today that's leading to more cognitive dissonance, that's leading to more brain fog, that's leading to long haulers, symptoms, all these other things. We're to get to the bottom of the freaking issues, but the picture still remains. The warfare tactics still remain. All these missiles in the shape of needles were aimed at all of us individually and our children, and multitudes of them, not single shots, multiple shots. And we're not acknowledging that threat. We're not seeking accountability. We're not seeking full transparency. My goodness, it's still on the freaking shelf. If we don't engage now, I'm sorry. Like, at what point do I throw my hands up and say, you fools are all going to get what you deserve? No one deserves this type of warfare, by the way. But at the point you're just going to be downright this self-absorbed and not even face these threats, they infringed on all our constitutional rights, even Nuremberg, during this pandemic. What's the point of having laws, rules for crimes against humanity if there's just no accountability? These rulers have, why would they fear us at this point? Why would they even fear come taking our guns? I genuinely feel they don't even need to, with the effectiveness of their psychological warfare, their information warfare, all these tactics. The fact we haven't even been up in arms over the egregious infringements on our First Amendment and people being locked away for what I'm doing here today. What, am I next? Will anyone even care? Well, you will when you say something futuristically in that future that goes against the system, and then you're locked up, because that's where it goes. Unless it's addressed now, that is where it goes. If you can't connect that dot, I don't know what to tell you. It is so freaking clear.
Simulation that took place in October 2019 in New York. What is the CIA doing in a pandemic simulation?
Right.
Public health agencies.
CIA, health organizations.
Using this pandemic as a pretext for clamping down totalitarian control. And the first thing they said is, we got limit free speech. We can't allow
all war tactics.
Government policies. We cannot allow people to talk about a lab leak.
Yeah, they couldn't do that, so we couldn't effectively see what it actually was, so we wouldn't actually put a bioweapon in our bodies, because we actually had real solutions that whatever was ailing us, ivermectin and HCQ did a fan-freaking-tastic job taking care of it. So they weaponized so many things. How is this not acknowledged as war tactics? Look at the tyranny that took place in this country. Look at the tyranny that happened in Canada and Australia and other countries. Come on.
Is doing this in October of 2019 before anybody of us have ever heard of Wuhan.
I believe in the idea that we shouldn't be trying to control communication, but rather flood the zone in a sense with a trusted source. Things we want to do is work with telecommunication companies to actually ensure that everybody has access to the kind of communications that we're interested in providing.
The CIA has been conducting these simulations since 2001. They're practicing how to use the next pandemic to execute a coup d'etat against American democracy and against the Bill of Rights. And that is very, very worrying. Everything that they've modeled, they did.
Everything they've modeled, they've did. They've executed. They've been very proficient and successful on. And successful so far with the cover-up. Now, sure, there's been a mass awakening. A lot of people actually see it for what it is, but not enough. Because the cover-up, even to this point, has been successful. Given there's no accountability. Given we haven't fought back to ensure like this level of tyrannical doesn't ever take place again. In fact, no. All these individuals, how is Bill Gates free? You don't think these individuals aren't spending these trillions of dollars that COVID happened to be the greatest distribution of wealth for the 1%? They're not reallocating the trillions of freaking dollars to come up with even more effective A, pandemic diseases, B, solutions that would fulfill what they want, decreasing population and ensuring, if they can, through technology, nanotech, biological warfare, basically full control over your body. The very root of its evil, think about it, biblically, our loving God creator is all about free agency. All this, anything wrapped up under the guise, what does the devil like to do? Appear as our loving creator under deceit to our destruction and taking away agency. Under the illusion of choice, he's getting a lot of individuals to fall prey to those tactics. And that defective wiring isn't allowing them to even acknowledge they fell prey to evil's tactics. It's like, wake up, people. I, to this day, still have family members that will not connect my own grandparent's death to this bioweapon shot. And we've lost, you know what, and just a quick clip here, we lost being able to gather more data to put towards becoming more the solution. It's crazy. In my eyes, it's like I need to put all these disclaimers before even making statements like that, because it will get so many people and loved ones and family members I care dearly of in a tiss, not acknowledging. Don't you see the intent here? Don't you see the intent? Like, I'm not even going to go down that road. I don't have the time. There's bigger discussions, more important things to stay on track with. I'm sorry you feel that way. You cannot see past these stats. Like, you cannot ignore them. You cannot sweep this under the rug. This is all, it's proven. Wow. 17 million dead due to the COVID shots. It's much, much more than that, folks.
It's a country in Southeast Asia. Scientists wanted to study what happened to the overall death rate during the pandemic. The deaths clearly increased, but look, this is where the pandemic was declared, and this is when the vaccine program rolled out. Same thing happened in 9 other countries.
Wow.
Here's Australia.
Wow.
New Zealand.
Come on.
The Philippines.
Folks.
Singapore. Thailand. After studying over a dozen countries in the Southern Hemisphere, the scientists concluded that after 13.5 billion COVID vaccines that were given out worldwide, 17 million people lost their lives from vaccines alone.
If it was a few hundred, okay, especially now that the jury's out and there's other life-saving care, it should be abolished. It should be pulled down. Isn't this just prove how all these institutions, our government included, because they're not actively seeking proper remedy? Because once again, they've taken money, Pfizer money and blood money, that would implicate them. Okay, why are we sitting back and allowing this corrupt infrastructure to exist to our detriment? And that's why I say, like, it's just a matter of time. It's not when or if. It's not if. It is when. 100%. And now North Carolina, I mean, there's just going to be more and more suffering. I don't get it. How we're so freaking messed up to where we ourselves have to be afflicted to a certain extent. Should I play poor Alexa Lorenz and her vaccine injury, fighting for her life?
And the death rate data for the elderly was just shocking. Welcome to Frontline Health. I'm Dan Skorback. In a new report that's yet to be peer-reviewed, Canadian scientists looked at the pandemic from a 1,000-foot view. They wanted to see how much the pandemic affected all-cause mortality. You see, the virus can kill in many ways, not just from the visible infection symptoms. If you want to find the real cause of death, you have to dissect each and every single person who died for any reason.
And we missed that window with my loved one. Sheerly due to ignorance, cognitive dissonance, people not even willing to. No, they'd rather fight amongst themselves. Oh, how dare you even want to do, like, unbelievable how robotic we've become. Not even able to have real discussion. Seek to understand, why would someone want to do a biopsy of a loved one that died that seemingly was a little elderly and whatnot? It's like, well, because the information here and what it suggests and what this potentially could provide to the awakening and the awareness and what actually took place. And have an open mind to be like, oh, wow, well, I haven't looked into that data. No, it's automatically just how dare you and what is wrong? Fear. So many things. Oh, because they got wrapped up in that this was safe and effective. They came to their own psychological conclusion and core belief, a core belief that, it couldn't be that because that might now implicate me, and even speaking out to that loved one to influence them to get this thing that was going to save their lives that inevitably murdered them. Like, yeah, I get that that's a hard conclusion to come to, but what good is it to anyone to not come to the whole truth? Because the whole truth of any other individual that may or may not have gotten that bioweapon within their body, once again, ignorance isn't going to lead to a path of health and happiness at all, especially these war tactics. My heart goes out to all the individuals because the psychological warfare, the information warfare, I mean, everyone, we are influential beings. There's been experiments. I could play a clip of RFK even speaking out on the clip that we played dating way back about the electric chair and people, just cranking up the amperage due to a seemingly authoritative figure because he was wearing a freaking laboratory coat. And he had glasses and the pad and the pen and they got the question wrong. Crank it up more. But it says lethal, sir. Well, crank it up more. Okay. Like, just catering to authority, catering to these narratives, catering to what was just being echoed and regurgitated ad nauseum around them, we see now. So there's so much to learn. But if we're not able to fight back that core belief and realize that core belief was wrong, I drank the Kool-Aid. That was like a cult. That is scary. How malleable I could be. The sense of freedom that individual could achieve in ruling out that type of defective wiring is so, far greater than just this singular threat. They actually gain, they fall into, you now have the freedom. You do fall into your purpose in this life. What a great opportunity. What a great blessing. As ugly and as damning, as scary as it's been, this is like the only way I really feel we even lead ourselves to full salvation. What other core beliefs did we gain through a pastor, through an upbringing, through a particular church, more so than seeking the truth from the Bible directly from God himself? Not knowing the distinction between the devil and our loving creator. That's why I challenge any pastor, any church on a lot of different narratives that they're spewing, more so indoctrination, skewing the actual word of God, taking biblical scripture egregiously out of context, misleading many, doing it very well as they were trained, as they paid, as they practiced to become. It's no secret. There's a lot of psychology. There's a lot of acting skills. There's a lot of things developed in a pastor's school. 100%. Couple that with their God-gifted talents and half walking in fruits of the Spirit at times. Not demonizing everyone. It's just it's nice to gain the discernment and question these core beliefs. It really will set us free and more so align us fully with our loving Creator.
Looked at the body under a microscope. Then you can see if they died from COVID or not. On the other hand, the authors explain you can look at the big picture, the metadata.
Some people didn't like that. Oh boy, they dropped right out. You question my pastor?
Which basically means that the scientists remove the reasons for the deaths and looked at death itself as a measure. Did more people die in this period of time? Then it's easy to tell if our approach to solving the pandemic worked on a population level or it didn't. So the best way to measure what happened during the pandemic is to look at all-cause mortality. And these scientists were also interested in how the data turned out during another event, specifically during the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines. You see, their initial research showed some shocking correlations between vaccine rollout and people dying. But some people argue that it might be just a seasonal effect. For example, the vaccines were rolled out in some countries in January and February, and that coincides with the flu season. So this time the scientists looked at a much larger subset of data and measured what happened in the countries that had vaccines rolled out in different seasons, even during summer, which is way outside the flu season. So let's look at the report. First, they found that in all countries that were included in their analysis, all-cause mortality increased every time the COVID-19 vaccines were deployed. Second, 9 out of the 17 countries had no detectable excess death right after the March 11th, 2020 event. That's when the World Health Organization declared the pandemic. And these countries didn't have excess deaths up until the COVID-19 vaccination campaign began.
Right.
Third, unprecedented peaks in all-cause mortality were observed in January and February 2022. This coincided with or followed the rollout of boosters in 15 of the 17 countries studied. And while it was winter in North America, in those months it was summer in most of the South America. So the flu season was not a factor there at all.
So they just disproved the flu narrative and other illness. Oh, wow. Surprise, surprise. It came back. Oh, they started recording it after the vaccine rollout, but it disappeared during COVID. Like, they're just manipulating data to their benefit, just manipulating so many.
4. Excess all-cause mortality during the vaccination period beginning January 2021 was 1.74 million deaths across all ages and countries. That makes it 1 death for every 800 injections. And 5. The vaccine dose fatality rate increased exponentially with age, reaching almost 5% among those 90 years and older who received a 4th vaccine dose, which translates to 1 in 20 deaths from COVID vaccines among the elderly. Dennis Randall, one of the authors of the study, told the Epoch Times in an email that, quote, "There is no evidence in the hard data of all-cause mortality of a beneficial effect from the..."
Absorb that. There is absolutely no evidence in the hard data of all-cause mortality of a beneficial effect from the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. None. This was good for nobody. The fact that some people are still, well, for some, that core belief is keeping you blind, keeping you encaged, to not just the detriment of you, but so many that may have trust in you, because yeah, you can have that core belief and still be a loving, potential trusting in other aspects of life individual. Leading people astray could lead to blood on your hands.
COVID-19 vaccine rollouts. No lives were saved.
No lives were saved.
Researchers also looked for a counterexample. Maybe there were places that showed that COVID-19 vaccines improved the all-cause mortality, but they could not find a single country with such trends. According to the report, data from numerous countries such as India, Australia, Canada, Israel, and the United States show a similar phenomenon. The peaks in all-cause mortality coincide with booster rollouts every time. In the United States, specifically, deaths were prominent in the 25 to 64 age group in 21 states, coinciding with a rapid surge in vaccines given during the vaccine equity campaigns launched by regulatory agencies.
Wow.
Researchers estimated that the United States had about 160,000 excess deaths in that age group during a period where over 60 million COVID-19 vaccine doses were given out. So if your friend or family member is...
They're not deaths. They're murders, folks. Murders. This was all planned. Okay? There is an evil intent behind this. This wasn't, a response to some natural, horrific thing. Are you kidding me? They planned it all. Go back to Bill Gates. If they do a very good job, they can lower population that's doing a very good job at murdering people. That's what he stated. That's what took place. That's what they were effective in doing. And they didn't just murder our loved ones with the outcome. Look at the murderous, incentivized hospital protocols. Why? It doesn't even matter. Who cares? Who cares even behind it? Like, in what the whys behind it, why they did it. Why are we accepting this outcome? Why are we delusionally going about our lives? Can't you see worse things are coming?
Thinking about or being pressured into getting a COVID-19 vaccine, please share this report with them so that they can make an informed decision. This is from...
Yes. They're still available on shelves today, folks. Unacceptable. So, to supplement the absolute numbers, here is the same data reported as percentage. 28,000 deaths attributed to COVID, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, what this data represents, from September through December, 95 plus percent, over 95%, COVID deaths were vaccinated individuals. Over 95%. Unbelievable. We're not even going into all the other aspects. Futuristically, how many are getting swept under the rug that are these turbo cancers, not even getting correlated to the shot? Brain tumors or myocarditis even, or dying suddenly of you name it. You name it. But what has been attributed to it specifically that we know, and it still is on the shelves, we are so screwed unless we actually seize this opportunity. I'm sorry, but it's buckle the frick up. Things are about to get really challenging, really fast, and really ugly. It's just a fact. Golly, I'm on further than I need to, but this gentleman, wow,
influences play a crucial role in spreading big pharma's...
talks on thousands, brings the receipts of YouTubers sponsored by Pfizer that have in fact died from the mRNA poisoning. Media blackout on this matter. Entirely blackout. How many have we seen on news channels died suddenly? How many right here? Have we seen thousands of athletes collapsing and dying of. This was never more than 5 or 10 prior to the pandemic. Never more than 5 or 10. And there's thousands just between March 21 and June 22. Thousands. This is an hour and 24 minutes long. We're not going to play the whole thing, but average age 23 years old. That is an insane stat. I believe unbelievable. Look at these. Just goes on and on. The cream of the crop. The most fit among us all. "24 years old. Jiminy crickets, folks. This cabal, this evil, will go to any lengths. The time is right freaking now. Maybe I'll just play one of these episodes for an hour long with this in the background. Go over other stats. Let it really sink in. Imagine their loved ones. They want to do something about it. Come on. We are 3 minutes in, an hour and 24 minute long. Just death after death. All correlating to the clot shots, the bioweapon. So once again, stop asking why they're doing to this and start asking why the F are we allowing it? Why are you allowing it? What are you going to do today? There's one simple thing. Copy and paste and share this with everyone you know. Challenge them to do the same. Share, have them forward it. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. Let's beat the algorithms that are censoring from this information getting out, leading to the cognitive dissonance, leading to us not even challenging the defective wiring we all got, and properly acknowledging the war tactics that are poisoning all of our loved ones. Truly, the pandemic in my eyes is a smoking gun. But like, this image is very powerful. By their definition, water vapor does not linger, disperse, and white out the entire sky. This is a time lapse of that same sky. Now, if you walked in about here on the whiteout portion, you, without kind of keeping an eye to the sky, you'd be like, I don't see anything poisonous about that. But if you paid attention, look at that. That's not even that many streaks. But look what it led to. But under the entire sky, you would just think natural formation. That is a blanketing of poisoning. Once again, last time in this episode, but for whatever reason, we are not effectively acknowledging and absorbing this. You know what? Freak the music. If I were to go to these type of lengths, and even, let's just say I even took the poisons out of that sky, okay? I went up there, I had a jet, and I could collect a whole bunch of that and then put it into your child's drinks and this and that, hypothetically, of course. Would you not? Would you just allow me to continue to do that day after day? Would you? Why would you allow me to do that? Are you insane? I would never do that. That's why I'm trying to expose it and trying to put a stop to it. How are we not insane? Going after it now. Once again, that whistleblower. Somewhere over here. Here she is. Talks about the aluminum, barium, all sorts of, God, it's horrific. Choose your poison. Let it be the shot. Let it be this. Let it be the weather manipulation. Let it be the invasion of our country. For frick's sakes, they stole the election. They're gearing up for it again. If we don't address the bigger picture issues here, it all just doesn't even matter. So let's just grasp the war tactics for being just that. World War III started a long time ago. And they very effectively poisoned our minds. For frick's sakes, men are wearing women face and being celebrated. They're getting talk shows, all sorts of specials. Can't you see the poisoning of our minds? Murdering life in the womb is being called my body, my choice. Murdering millions in this country alone. Child sex mutilation, chopping off healthy breasts of a young girl or woman and just mutilating their bodies, pumping them full of toxins and chemicals and hormones that are life-altering, never can change back. Things such as Lupron. We don't even administer that. We don't deem that humane for criminals that have life sentences that have committed murder. But yet our doctors will administer it to your child. Unbelievable. We're to break all the defective wiring and see things more effectively for what it is. And I pray that maybe, let's see, that Jesus' calling will breathe some light as to, let's stop pulling the wool over our eyes, folks. If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. We got a lot of opportunity right here, right now. Are we just to sit back and accept that? No, you wouldn't accept me doing it. So let's do something about it. Let's be excited to get amped up about it. Let's freaking go. What better thing to engage in this? You now want to just go back to work and go take the blue pill again? You're willing to murder others to get back to the blue pill like the dude in the Matrix? Because you're that weak? Are we that weak? You're weak when you don't have God in your life, but when you have God and you see the bigger picture, then where to show up? And I believe too many Christians are doing that whole minding my own business, turning the other cheek, ignoring. Because the thing is, when you don't walk in ignorance, which God doesn't like ignorance, He doesn't want us ignorant. And when you connect these dots and you see this level of warfare, then He will fill you. How is He supposedly going to fill you with things like you just aren't even aware of or convicted in and of yourself as a man? I'm sorry. You could be doing everything for your family, but at the point they're being poisoned and they're going to live and suffer in their life, you're failing them. Yeah, some men might hate that, but you're failing at the most basic opportunity and privilege we would have as a father, and that would be to protect our littles, to offer them a better opportunity in this life than we had. Well, it's being stolen from them right here, right now. We're to acknowledge that. We're to face that threat. I pray we assemble and do just that. So we got October 6th. Be willing to follow wherever I lead. Follow me wholeheartedly, with glad anticipation, quickening your pace. Though you don't know what lies ahead, I know, and that is enough. Some of my richest blessings are just around the bend, out of sight, but nonetheless, some of the richest blessings could be the knowledge to become the solution around that bend so our children are no longer being poisoned. Come on, let's go. Out of sight, but nonetheless very real. To receive these gifts, you must walk by faith, not by sight. This doesn't mean closing your eyes to what is all around you. It means subordinating the visible world to the invisible shepherd of your soul. Sometimes I lead you up high mountains with only my hand to support you. The higher you climb, the more spectacular the view becomes. Also, the more keenly your sense, your separation from the world with all its problems. This frees you to experience exuberantly the joyous reality of my presence. Give yourself fully to these glory moments. A washing in dazzling light. I will eventually lead you down the mountain back into the community with others. Let my light continue to shine within you as you walk among the people again. How are we to do all that and continue to even have that opportunity if we're no longer walking, we're no longer thinking for ourselves? We are effectively poisoned. That's why we can't negate the war tactics being waged. It is stealing God's free agency. It's leading to suffering and the bloodlust of the evil one in this existence. Jesus was crucified speaking truth. I would seize the opportunity. I pray more of my brothers in Christ would do just that on behalf of their families, their loved ones, and their God. Fulfill the word, not just project and be a mouthpiece of it. Fulfill it. There's 2 Corinthians 5:7, Psalm 96:6, John 8:12, Psalm 36:9. There was a whole bunch of biblical reference, and I kind of wanted, but we went way over than I anticipated on this. So I'll just share the biblical verses. But as I looked them up, they were very profound, so I challenge you to actually look into them. You know what? Since I'm reading them, let's just mash through 3 of them. Determination. Be determined to obey God. 1 Samuel 7:3. Determined not to sin. Job 31:1. Determined to stand firm. Isaiah 7:9. Please stand firm. God helps us to be determined. Isaiah 57. Determined to follow Christ. Mark 8:34-8. Devotion. Be fully devoted to God. 1 Chronicles 28:9. Worship God with devotion. 1 Chronicles 29:9. Be devoted to prayer. Psalm 5:3. Let your voice be devoted to God. Romans 12:1-2. We have discernment. The Bible will help you discern bad teachings. Acts 7:11. God grants discernment. 1 Corinthians 12:10. Discern between right and wrong behavior. Hebrews 5:14. Ask God for help in discerning His will. James 1:5. Fantastic. Look at all that bookmarks. A whole slew of them. I was going to dive into it all, but I just ranted away this episode. God bless you. Thank you for making it this far. Undoubtedly, you truly are a warrior. We're to effectively unify against these threats and not walk in fear. I have no fear over my mortal life and death. It sucks. I feel pain. I don't want suffering. But the reality of these threats it's enhancing each and every day our suffering. It's becoming that much harder to even walk in our natural abilities and resilience. And it's being intentionally done. Look at all the diagnosis and symptoms and ADD, ADHD, all this freaking stuff. It's not natural what our poor children are going through. We are poisoning them with poisonous things from the grocery store that are in fact not food. They're not even healthy candies or healthy snacks. They're poison. You want to get mad at me for the analogy of potentially poisoning your children? So many parents, not all, are legit poisoning them themselves. Fact. If you can't read through them ingredients and even trust that all the ingredients are even enlisted, that you've done your due diligence on that company itself, who's the insane one? Come on. I want to see the best version of you and all your children. Let's do what we can. That's what's important in this life. More than anything. Frick. God will provide. He'll figure ways out for us to walk in his love, to walk in his light. Let's focus on that. No job is worth selling your soul. All right. I'm well over time. I hope this blessed you some way or another. I hope to see more momentum here. Otherwise, it will be made clear. I'm seeking that each and every day. What path, Lord? What path can I be more effective or actually see more solutions? I'm trying to reach out to Underground Railroad. I'm trying to get plugged in. So we'll see what God aligns up in my life. But if you feel like this is a good path and you want to see me continue on it, then share this to the moon. Potentially financially support us. We don't gain more momentum and beat these algorithms. I'll try other methods, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to continue to show up on the front lines. Just not seeing the momentum we need here. Another way you can help us is by helping yourself through the affiliations we've accumulated. Check out Patriot Mobile today. Support the only Christian conservative mobile network there is. Prepare yourself. We got dark days ahead. Get an EMP shield for your vehicle, for your home. You're getting $50 off every single one of those products you order through that link. An amazing savings. Just click the link below. They're still getting bogged down on orders. Get one while you can. We mentioned Bond Charge. We mentioned Masterpiece. Check out American Reserves. So many in North Carolina. How many would have been in a totally different situation had they stored more water, more fuel, more survival food? They don't just offer survival food. They actually offer the containers that you could filter the water around you to where it's safe to drink. So get one of those containers. Get survival food so your children don't go hungry or yourself. You're getting a 10% discount just by mentioning Unmuzzled through your order. Other than that, you've noticed we've started integrating Insure a Patriot. Everyone's got health insurance or life insurance or business health insurance. He's offering a full free analysis for your health and life in your business. All of them, or singularly any of them. Just reach out to him. Click the link in the description below. Free analysis. He's a patriot. He's a godly man. Who are you supporting now? Support individuals like that. Bless their lives. They will lead to more solutions waging war in this life. Just mention Unmuzzled and he'll offer all those services for free. Information's not going to hurt you. We've become a lazy people. Take action. Reach out now. If you really just don't have the time now, put it on the list and fulfill that list tomorrow. I guess it's Sunday. So yeah, I don't know if you get through. Do it tomorrow. Write it down. Put the alert. Put the alarm in your phone. I'm human. I run on alarms. I don't even trust the calendar that certain things fell through the cracks. I love you. I want the best for you. Let's seize these opportunities. Let's put an end to the suffering. Let's gain back our freedoms. Let's gain back the keys to this very country and ensure one person, one vote, and ensure that elections take place, not selections. And then let's ensure that we hold them to their word. They trip up on it. You're done. I'm sorry. It's not a 3 strikes. You're out. You're done. And you won't get elected. Not while I live and breathe. Next, because we have other people that are willing to step up and serve and won't be bought out. Let's go. The time is now. We don't take advantage of this, then I'll see you next time. I'll be dumber. That's just the fact. I'll be dumber. We all will be, because the poisoning continues. Yay. Let's go. Let's get it ended. I'm fed up. Bye. Freaking fed up.